Guys, how's it going? So we have some women's soccer news going on this week. It's not really a lot, but there was some news going on this week. Anyway, at the time of filming this, the UKG NWSL Challenge Cup is going on. So it's going to be the North Carolina Courage and Racing Louisville. But I would say at the time of filming this, I think there's still like a weather delay going on with that. But anyway, let's bring it back a little bit and talk about OL Reign losing in the Challenge Cup semifinals. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with the Reign. It just seems as though every time we make it to the semifinals, whether it be a Challenge Cup or the NWSL Championship, we manage to get ourselves knocked out. Honestly, I wasn't that upset when it was an After Dark game. I couldn't watch it because it wasn't on Paramount Plus. So when I woke up and saw that OL Reign had lost, I was just like, oh well, that's a bummer, but it's kind of a pattern for us. Maybe one day we'll make it out of the semifinals, just like maybe one day Paramount Plus will stream the semifinals of the NWSL Challenge Cup. Anyway, I think something interesting did happen after the game because it was an After Dark match, and as we all know, After Dark NWSL games, like weird stuff goes on. Anyway, after the game, Nadia Nadim was exchanging words with Emily Sonnet and Jordan Huitema. And I don't know what was up with that. I don't know if those three were bickering with each other throughout the game, but yeah, that was the thing that happened. And apparently there were rumors on Twitter that Nadim was actually targeting Phoebe McLaren. And the reason why she would target McLaren was because Phoebe McLaren was responsible for Nadim's ACL injury back in 2021. Again, this is just a rumor. I mean, tensions could have been running high and, they could have just gotten into an argument. But the idea of Nadia Nadim targeting Phoebe McLaren for, being responsible for her injury. It sounds very interesting. Let's see, Phoebe McLaren in 2021. So Phoebe McLaren, she was a rookie. She played for the Orlando Pride in 2021. I do remember her because she was a very aggressive defender. Like, she wasn't scared to challenge or tackle you. And her tackles and challenges were brutal. I know she's gotten like a few yellow cards during her time with the Pride. And it was even to the point that she had to miss some games. I think she missed some games due to yellow card accumulation. And I do remember the match where Orlando Pride played Racing Louisville. And I do remember Nadim's going down injured with that ACL injury. It was very painful. It was very tough to watch. But yeah, McLaren, she was a very aggressive defender. And she was signed by OL Reign in 2022. And even I thought that would be good for Phoebe McLaren because she needed to clean up her defending. Like, let's be honest. She was getting too many yellow cards. Her tackles and challenges were very intense and brutal, and she honestly needed to clean up her defending. So her getting signed by the Reign was good. And compared to how she plays now, looking back to 2021, since signing with the Reign, she's a lot better defensively. She has gotten some yellow cards here and there, but it's not to the extent of what it was with the Orlando Pride. As for Nadia Nadim, a lot of people said that she needs to get over it. I would say that she needs to get over it, but I'm not going to say that because that would mean I would have to get over my personal grudges that I have against people, especially this band teacher I had in high school who was a bit of a... Moving over to our brothers across the pond, we have some Lyon Ultras confronting players after a 4-1 loss to PSG at home. So this is men's soccer, but I thought this was very interesting because I guess there were a lot of US fans commenting and asking, Like, why are the players just standing there getting berated by the fans? Why don't they just walk away? Well, the thing is, the reason why the players aren't walking away is because those fans that are confronting the players, those aren't just regular soccer fans. Those are ultras. Ultras are the most dedicated, passionate, and loyal fans in a soccer club. And so there's almost like this mutual respect between the players and the ultras. And so it was actually nice that the players did go up to the ultras and listen to the ultras. And the guy on the microphone who was talking to the players, he wasn't really berating them. Like in the translations, I don't think he was saying anything bad. He wasn't insulting them. He wasn't saying mean stuff to them. He was just telling the players to get it together, basically. He was telling the players, the transfer window is closed and you guys are the team. And I think probably one of my favorite things that the Ultras said was that there are people, players, who have worn the Lyon shirt with pride and dedication and were proud to wear the Lyon shirt. And the thing is, I think what the Ultras were trying to tell the Lyon team was that we want to see that same dedication, passion, loyalty, and love that we have for our club. We want to see that from you guys. And so, yeah, I don't think he was saying anything bad. The Ultras just want the Lyon team to get it together. Because a 4-1 loss to PSG at home, yeah, that is not good. As for my personal opinion on the Ultras, I actually like the Ultras. We don't have those in the US. We have supporter groups, but they're not like, the Ultras that you see in Europe. And a lot of my friends that I talk to, they also have a positive view of the Ultras. I know there are some Ultras that are connected to, I guess, racial groups or racist groups, or I can't think of the word anymore, but or criminal groups, I mean. But a lot of my friends have like a positive view of the Ultras. When it came to the Frauen Bundesliga last season, a lot of the fans were really excited because the Eintracht Frankfurt Ultras came to support their women's team and the Hoffenheim Ultras came to support their women's team. And, it was a lot of fun. It was very cool to see them. And, I think it would be cool to see like more of the Ultras at the women's game, because the Ultras do bring like a certain type of energy, a lot of energy and passion to the game, a lot of energy to the stands. And I think if we had that at the women's game, it would be like so much more fun and electrifying. And I think the players would also like to see their Ultras as well. Anyway, going back to some women's soccer news, Luis Rubiales has been suspended from the Spain Football Federation. He is no longer the acting president. Not only that, a Spanish prosecutor has filed a complaint against Rubiales for sexual assault and coercion. According to a sexual consent law that passed last year in Spain, Rubiales could face a fine or a prison sentence for 1 to 4 years if found guilty of sexual assault. Well, it seems to check out. Looking back at Jenny Hermoso, her saying that she didn't consent to being kissed. Yeah, it seems to check out. I wonder if that's enough that it falls under that sexual consent law in Spain. I don't know anything about it. I don't cover Spain or the Spanish national team. So it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. On top of that, Jorge Vilda was also fired this week. He was replaced with Montserrat Montse Tomé. Montse Tomé is a former Spanish women's national team assistant coach, and she will make her head coach debut in the Nations League. Her appointment had mixed reaction. Some people thought it was good. Other people were very iffy when it came to her appointment. I saw one person call it a glass cliff, and I had to look it up. A glass cliff is a situation in which women are promoted to higher positions during times of crisis or duress, or during a recession when the chance of failure is more likely. Yeah, that kind of checks the box, doesn't it? The Spain Football Federation is currently in a time of crisis, I guess. Well, yeah, they're in a time of crisis, and now Montserrat Tomé, she is now the head coach. And so maybe she is being set up for failure in this case, but we don't really know that yet. There's also the fact that all the players on the Spain women's national team, they also said they're not going to return to the national team for national team duty because not enough structural changes have been made. So yeah, there's kind of like this standstill. There's kind of like a standstill here. In this case, I'm really hoping when it comes to Spain's women's national team, I hope the players are able to stick together this time around and keep pushing for changes. Because the thing is, who is going to get called up to the national team for the Nations League? There's no one. If the players on Spain's women's national team, if they can stick together, they will get their demands met. Because who is Montserrat Tomé? Who will she be able to call up? Because there's no one. I mean, you could probably call up the U20s or the U19s, but they're not the world champions. And yeah, so it's going to be very interesting to see how this all plays out. Again, I'm really hoping Spain's women's national team, those players, I hope they can stick together because they will get their demands met, but they have to stick together. So let's end on something fun. Yesterday, I read a women's soccer fan fiction piece. Well, technically, I didn't read it yesterday. I actually had it scheduled for yesterday, Friday, September 8th. I actually read this fan fiction piece back in July, like a few days before the World Cup started, because my friends were passing it around, and I got really curious because the thing is, in the soccer groups that I'm a part of, we don't really talk about women's soccer fan fiction. Like, we know it exists, but we don't go looking for it. It's like what we talk about in our groups is usually just stats, how a player's performing, how a team's performing, trades, the coaches, coaching staff. I guess you would say it's kind of boring, but I don't know. It's very interesting for us. But yeah, so this fan fiction was getting passed around, and it was funny because I was going to just ignore it, but then like my friends were saying that it was actually really good and they liked it, and I'm like, maybe I'll take a crack at it. So when it came to that particular fan fiction, I should probably put like spoiler alert. There's going to be spoilers in this, and if you want to listen to me read the story, I'll have the video in the description below. All right, so spoiler time. So this particular fan fiction, it's called Im Team, or In the Team, or On the Team. It was originally in German, but I translated it over to English. So the fan fiction is about the German women's national team, and they're preparing for the next Women's Euro. And apparently, there's been a murder on the German women's national team. Svenja Huth, the captain of the national team, was killed in the bathroom with something by someone. It's kind of like Clue. And the main character of the story, Lena Magel, she has to find out who killed Svenja Huth. And the other characters in the story, I think, are Feli Rauch, Laura Fragen, Simi Lohman, and Eula Brand. They had to figure out who killed Svenja. And at the end of the story, it was revealed that Eula Brand killed Svenja Huth. Yeah, I still can't believe it. But it wasn't so much, but how she did it or why it happened was actually the interesting part. So Eula Brand, the reason why she killed Svenja Huth in the story was because she was sick and she had, I guess, had a bad cough or a bad cold and was given medication. And this medication, it could have been a high dosage or mistaken for an illicit drug. It caused her to hallucinate and basically have a bad trip, and she saw something that freaked her out or scared her, and it resulted in Eula accidentally killing Svenja Huth. So I thought that was a very interesting, because I'm a writer. I like to write. I like to write stories and stuff. I thought that was a very interesting detail that she ended up killing Svenja Huth because of a medication, because she hallucinated. And I had time to think about this story a lot more, and I remembered something very interesting. It's clear that Eula was given this medication by a trainer, and that situation is identical to something that happened on the Portland Thorns last year. So I actually covered a story about this. Pierre Sobrier, sorry if I mispronounced his name, he was an athletic trainer for the Portland Thorns and the husband of U.S. Women's National Team player Crystal Dunn. He was giving players on the Thorns medication that contained codeine. Codeine is a controlled substance and can be very dangerous. You shouldn't take it with alcohol, and you shouldn't take it with certain medications. It can also be very dangerous to pregnant women. It's part of the reason why you need a prescription from a physician, and a physician needs to make sure, has to administer it and make sure everything is in order. An NWSL investigation found Sobrier was giving this controlled substance to players on multiple occasions without a prescription and without physician supervision. He had even given one player this medication without informed consent. So going back to that fan fiction story, that situation, what happened to Eula in that story, kind of reminded me of what Pierre Sobrier did with the Portland Thorns players. Because it's interesting, because you don't think something like this could happen. Eula in the story being given this drug that caused her to hallucinate and lash out. It seems so impossible. It seems like something that is made up. But when I thought about it more and remembered that case with Pierre Sobrier, it's amazing like how that connects. It's amazing like how, like, you don't think it could happen, but it did. Something like that did happen. And thankfully, in regards to the Thorns players, there wasn't any serious consequences. There wasn't any, the players didn't have any medical issues or any injuries, or it didn't cause them harm. But it was just interesting seeing how that connected. As for the story itself, I was very surprised that I liked it. I think if this was a full-length book or a full-length novel, like if you fleshed it out a lot more and had your own characters, hell, by all means, keep it on a national team and have the players try to solve this mystery of who killed their teammates. I think I would get that book. I think it would make for a very interesting story. But yeah, it was it was a very interesting fan fiction. I don't know if I'll read any more of those on my channel. I don't really have the time to go and look for fan fictions, but if you guys know of any, or you would want me to, I guess, read them, feel free to email me. I'll have my business email in the description below. So if you want me to do that, go ahead. Feel free to email me a story, I guess. Anyway, that's all I have for you guys today or tonight, and I'll see you all in the next one. Later.